You've heard the adage, necessity is the mother of invention. Well, it fits Jan Rogers in more ways than one. Jan is a mother, and she had a necessity with one of her children, which led to an amazing and successful invention. Jan, tell us how all this came about.
My daughter, at the age of 4, was the how much longer kid. How much longer till we leave? How much longer till dinner? How much longer till bedtime? How long do I have to work on this, whatever she was doing? She knew at that early age that time was a major factor in her life, but it was also her greatest frustration. She just didn't get it. And to tell you the truth, it was a bit of an aggravation for me, so I knew that we had to find a solution so that she could gain the independence that she wanted. I tried teaching her how to read a standard analog clock. That didn't work. She didn't know which way the hands were moving. Even if I taught her what was the hour hand, what was the minute hand, which way are they going. So I started looking for some other resources that would give her information that she could work with. I tried the kitchen timer. That didn't work because it was a bell in space. She knew it was coming, she didn't know when. The microwave digital timer was just a series of numbers, so that made no sense to her. I went to the store trying to find the current teaching clock or watches for young children. They tried to give her too much information. All she really wanted to know was how much time is left. She didn't care what time it was. So I started tinkering around with some things I had at home and some ideas I had in my head, and hit on the idea that if she could see the time, that might help her understand it.
Oh, and your first prototypes were kind of primitive?
Oh, that's kind of an understatement. One day I just cut 2 circles out of construction paper, cut a couple of slits in them, and then made them go like this so that in effect, a disc would move. And that was a light bulb moment for both Lauren and I. I could tell right then that if she could see the time, it would enable her to monitor the time without my assistance. I could, in effect, transfer ownership of that segment of time to her. She could be independent and have the pride of meeting of a deadline on her own without me nagging her. After having that concept solidified, I decided to talk to friends and professionals to see if this concept was really necessary in the classroom, in life, before I put any money into it, and found out that the need was pretty universal. So after lots of networking and false starts and tweaking and testing and lots of different applications, the time timer was born, and that was in the early 1990s. The development of the working prototype was the most money I had ever spent, except for a car or our house. I knew right then that this money pit was going to be much deeper than I thought, and success was no longer an option but a requirement.
So the mother of invention became an entrepreneur.
I knew that if the time timer was going to exist, I was going to have to produce it.
Okay, how many times did you hear, "Why didn't I think of that?"
All the time, and my standard answer is always, "I'm glad you didn't."
So what did you have to do to get ready to go to market?
When I had perfected the product enough to take it on the road, I went to lots of local teacher conferences. And the response was invariably, "Oh, I have a good friend in special education that would love this resource." So I decided to dive into it. I didn't know anything about that market, but it seemed to be pulling me there to the special needs. And I realized very quickly it was going to have a great impact.
Can you explain why?
The teachers in that field are hungry for new resources. They're very creative in teaching children with different learning styles. The other element was that I gave them a visual indicator of how much time is left. And that's very important for children that are trying so hard to understand everyday things.
That was the early 1990s, and you're still going strong.
Yeah, I am. It's quite a story. The beginning was very slow. It was so simple that it was hard for people to realize the benefit of it. But in the last 6-7 years, business has really picked up, and the sales have actually moved into new markets. The special needs teachers educated the mainstream teacher on its usefulness, and business people have started to run meetings with it, and lifestyle issues have found that it's important.
So now things are much easier?
Oh no, quite the opposite. I'd like to be able to say that it's a well-oiled machine, but what I've discovered as a manufacturer is that as production needs increase, problems come up. And I'm committed to the fact that the time timer has to do what we say it does. People are depending on it. So we continue to tweak and revise and find new ways so that we have the best product possible. I also feel that I have to take care of my customers. They've supported me for a long time, and I want to take care of them. It's as important to me to have a company with a good reputation as it is to have a product with a good reputation.
What an amazing success story.
It's really kind of amazing to me that I had an idea that was just supposed to help my daughter, and now there are people all over the world that are being helped by it.
I can see you have an emotional attachment to the time timer.
It's been quite a journey. Persistence, commitment, creativity, stubbornness. I'm not sure how I got here, but I'm very glad that my passion resulted in the time timer.
And you truly are the mother of invention.
I was blessed to have a wonderful idea that has had an impact.